Yeah, so my name's John Rogerson, and I'm a fourth year student at the University of West of Scotland studying events management. Um, I originally came from college and went into university direct entry from second year, and I'm finally hopefully going to be in my final year and graduate, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that's amazing. We're so pleased to have you on and to hear a bit more about your experience as well. Could you let us know, I guess, why did you choose the course? You mentioned there that you had direct entry, so that's quite cool that that was your progression.
Yep. So I was actually working full time prior to going to college. I kind of realised once I'd left school, I'd been working for about 2 to 3 years, and I finally sort of realised that maybe work um, isn't really for me. So I kind of wanted to go and try and better my education. So it was just by chance that I had a look at the Ayrshire College website. That's where I'm from originally, the sort of Ayrshire area. Um, yeah, I just had a look to see what was available, and I stumbled across events management, and just the whole sort of descriptor really got me interested into the whole concept. So I've done a little bit more research into events and what it entails, and eventually I met the criteria, so I just applied for the course. When I started, I didn't really know what to expect, but ever since it's been more and more enjoyable as the years go on.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And I guess I'm curious then, had you heard of like events and hospitality before, like in primary school or high school, or was it just during your research that you came across and you thought, ah, this is actually maybe something I would really enjoy?
So I'd worked in hospitality previously. I'd done some work at like a local hotel. I was working just as a waiter. Done some similar work like that, but prior to that, they never really taught as much about events at school. So until I'd actually applied for the course, I'd never really thought about it as much in terms of events. So we would have events on at the hotel, but I wouldn't actually realise that that is one of the things that we get taught how to run at uni just now.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Um, and I guess then could you maybe elaborate on your experience so far? Obviously, you're hopefully will be graduating soon, and hopefully that would be an amazing thing to share on. But what's your experience at uni been like so far?
Um, this year has been definitely a lot more challenging in terms of, I mean, normally at university you're kind of thrown in the deep end with regards to like having to teach yourself how to reference. Especially I found that making the transition from college, we were quite what they coddled, could I say? So we were kind of just given an easy passage. So we were so coming into university, the independence was, I just couldn't believe it when I came to uni at first. But since I've sort of learned a bit more each year, fourth year, I kind of felt as if COVID has maybe helped me this year as opposed to hindered progress. Mainly because I've had more time to do research. I've had more time to talk to lecturers, and vice versa. The lecturers have had more time to be able to interact with us, which I believe has helped a lot this year.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think it's really nice to hear that you've actually maybe different from the majority are thinking, hey, this has actually helped me out. And I completely agree with the I guess the experience that you have from going from college to university, because I remember I did that jump as well, and my lecturer was always like, listen, we're very hands-on. When you go to uni, you are more or less left to yourself. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that experienced that, like when the jump did happen, because you're just like thinking, oh my goodness, what have I been doing this entire time? But no, that's really, yeah, I'm really pleased to hear that COVID's actually helped. Where maybe have there been any instances where you're thinking, actually, this has really been made it really, really tough, in maybe your mental health or any other areas of your life?
Um, I mean, I think mental health during sort of COVID is always an issue that flags up with students, and I've got a pretty close sort of friend group. We've kind of came up through college together, and we're all hopefully going to graduate together. But even some of the people in my sort of friend group, they've been they've had their own sort of mental battles, you could say, and it's very tough. Like I'm very fortunate that this year I actually got a increase in my student loan, so I'm living in Glasgow just now, paying rent for private accommodation. So I'm not actually in halls or um, but I'm just renting through an agency. And if it wasn't for my student loan, I reckon things could definitely have been a lot more different this year.
Yeah.
It's nice to
Yeah.
have a home rather than the halls is just really a room. So it's a wee bit, it's nicer just to have more than one room to go to, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I kind of found that the difference between being at home and being in the flat this year is obviously we don't like have a garden, so we have like a communal space out the back, but I feel at home I'd be more inclined to go outdoors, whereas because I'm in my flat, I'm just kind of in study mode, so I don't really want to leave. So sometimes I get cabin fever, but then I just know I need to take myself out, maybe for half the day and just go for a big walk.
Yeah, walks have been so handy. I think, like, especially here at Dechomai, we love to get our steps in. So we're always like, if the sun's out, we're gonna go out as well. And have you been working during your time at university, or has that been, have you, how's that looked like?
So I was actually a like trainee duty manager at a hotel back where I stay, and when I left to go to live in Glasgow, I managed to get a job in a local cafe called iCafe in Merchant City. So thankfully, the owner there has been brilliant throughout all of this. We've been furloughed and no staff have been let go. So I mean, really fortunate, and I'm maybe only working a couple days a week at the moment, but that's enough with studies as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. I do remember being a fourth year student myself and trying to juggle work and trying to juggle. I'm a believer that you need your social life as well for your mental health and just to keep a little bit sane. So trying to juggle it all is um, a lot of work. Tell us a bit about your fourth year. How are you finding it compared to sort of different ones? So how are you finding it compared to college? Obviously, we touched on that slightly, but also how are you finding it compared to other years too?
So I kind of feel that fourth year has just been it's just been complete leaps and bounds for me. I would say when I first sort of came from college to university, coming into second year, I didn't really have a great idea of how to reference properly. So that year was kind of a learning curve for me. Because I mean, if you saw my grades for second and third year, I'm actually quite appalled at myself for doing not so well. But I mean, this year, hopefully, the way I'm going just now, I'm on track to maybe finish with a first. So I mean, it's unbelievable the sort of progress that I've made this year, and as I said, I think it's just down to having more time to put into all my work.
That's a really good thing. I'm actually quite shocked that how COVID has been such a positive for you, because when I was at the show and I were writing the questions and things, in my head it was going to be a bit more negative, but you're definitely it's coming across that it's actually been quite a good thing for you, which is always really good. What are your thoughts about starting your career into this? Because obviously we all know events, some crazy statistic like 75% have all been made redundant. So how, not to scare you or anything, but how are you feeling about going into the event industry and to go into this situation when, one, there's so much change, two, nobody knows what the change actually is, we're all sort of feeling our way through it, and the number of jobs as well is a lot less and there's a lot more people applying for them?
Yep, so I would say my sort of love is for music. Like, I play instruments myself, and the one thing I love going to is the likes of live music events. So ideally, I would love to even do some sort of volunteering work after this is all finished. But I mean, I really am quite anxious about going out to try and get a job. Not so much once lockdown's lifted. I believe there'll be lots of opportunities for people to hopefully get a job and establish themselves. But I think the competition this year, especially, once things do return to some sort of normality, will be massive. Like, you've got students from last year that already have maybe that have had a year out, they've been able to do some sort of work, they've maybe been let go. You've also got more experienced people that have unfortunately lost their jobs over the pandemic, and then you've kind of got like us, which are the students that are due to graduate and maybe don't have as much experience, because I know that I had a few volunteer opportunities come up just prior to COVID. But once things really ramped up with the restrictions, unfortunately they were cancelled, so I've not really had that chance to go and get that experience that I hoped for this year.
I think it's hard for us all, isn't it? We don't, nobody knows what's happening with events. You don't really know what's going to happen over the next few years, but now you don't really know what's happening in what makes it
Land a couple of volunteer opportunities. I've done some voluntary work for Cash for Kids, so it's like an organisation. I think it's in all over Scotland, but the attention is sort of in Glasgow and Ayrshire, just because the sort of poverty for children is quite alarming. So I think it's 1 in every 5 um, child is living in poverty in Ayrshire. So I'd sort of done a volunteer stint there, and then I've also done other pieces as well. But I think the reward you get out of volunteering is unbelievable. You can also make great contacts. Like the list goes on.
No, definitely, and even the reward that you get for volunteering, but you get that in jobs as well. Like working for Dechomai is so rewarding, just the people that you meet and things like that. So it sounds like that's a kind of way that you want to go for quite a rewarding job rather than just to put on Tea in the Park. Tea in the Park's not a thing anymore, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always nice to see that people are out there to give back rather than just take, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's I always kind of thought that it's easy enough to do a job for money because you get paid, but I think it's always nice to do something because you want to do it and you like doing it.
Yeah. It's again, we were speaking about this, that you work.
It ties in so well.
you know, work for 5 days a week, most of the day, and so that's most of your week that you're with these people. You need to, one, get on with them, and you need to enjoy what you're doing. I'm a strong believer in doing, because again, we were speaking about this, but I don't feel that the work we do with Dechomai is work. I just enjoy it so much that it doesn't feel like working anymore, and I think that's quite a rare thing and a very lucky thing for us to have, because it just makes it so much easier and a lot more rewarding.
Yep, I mean, that's one thing I would say I'm very fortunate with this year is just even though sort of COVID has really impacted things this year with the likes of universities, like you obviously, everything's online delivery, so you don't even get the chance to go into the university unless you live close by. But I mean, all the lecturers, and I will especially put a word out for Sandro. He's made the university this year unbelievable. I mean, the opportunities Sandro has put out to students this year to be able to still develop themselves whilst we're in a pandemic is brilliant. And I would recommend anyone who's in the events management course to take up these offers.
So would I. Again, I used to always roll my eyes when Sandro, who was also my lecturer, used to always go on about volunteering, and I was like, I don't have time, I'm working, I'm going out, I'm doing university. And honestly, now that I'm in the industry, 100,000,000%, I hate to say it, but he's right. He's completely right. And the amount of opportunity that he gathers for students is unbelievable. So it's definitely something that they're so lucky to have and don't necessarily realise how lucky they are. So yeah, it's fantastic, and you sound like it's just so nice to see that how positive this chat has actually been.
Yeah, I think I'd come in with a perceived notion as well, thinking, yeah, he's going to tell us, it's been awful and it's been really hard and things are not looking so bright, but it's really refreshing to see that actually you're still hopeful regardless of what tomorrow is going to bring, and you're also making plans. I think that's the thing. I think COVID for some people has maybe stripped them of making plans and being so hopeful. So I think, yeah, for our audience, I'm pretty sure they'll be just as amazed as we've been listening to you share on your story.
Oh, and I think it'll maybe give people that wee push that they're maybe the last few months before dissertations due, you get into that wee slug, don't you, going back down? So I think your positivity and your how well you're doing will really push people that are listening into sort of getting it back together again, because we all go up and down, and sometimes we do just need to talk to other people or listen in this case and see, and that's sort of giving them that positivity boost to get back to their laptop and start writing. Unfortunately, but yeah.
I mean, I would probably say that I've been very fortunate, the fact that I've got such a good support group. I mean, my mum is just, wow, she's done so much over the 4 years, so I'm honestly so grateful. I've got friends that I can speak to. I know for some people they don't have the luxury of these sort of things, so I do empathise with people that maybe don't have that support group, and I do feel as if it's so important. Even just setting daily tasks, for example, I might give myself the goal to do 500 words Monday to Friday every day, and if I hit that, I tell myself that it's 2,500 words done, that's an essay.
Mm-hmm. That's a brilliant way to look at it, and it's always nice to hear how other people study and learn, because we're all so different that we kind of need to help each other and see what works for us, because that might help somebody else, and hopefully it helps somebody that's listening. Just to give yourself wee daily tasks. I know that I am definitely one, and get slagged for quite often in the office. I love a to-do list, and I love sharing my to-do list with other people. But again, the satisfaction of just ticking it off, and the satisfaction of just getting things done and getting us somewhere is really important. So I think that's a really good insight for people that are listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would honestly see the 500 word goal. I've only started doing it since I came back in January, because I kind of found myself going in a bit of a slump with my dissertation work, so I kind of had to give myself something to keep me going. And even if I look at 500 words and I see a lot of rubbish written down, there's normally at least some parts I can take from it that I can add to my dissertation. So doing work is better than doing no work, in my opinion.
No, absolutely is. But I think that's good. Thank you so much. Yeah. I really appreciate it. And like I said, that was so positive that I didn't necessarily see coming, and obviously Dechomai, you said the same, didn't really see it.
Genuinely, I'm sat here shocked. I'm like, wow, I wish I had this perspective at uni.
Okay, me too. I struggled enough and I didn't have a pandemic going on, so amazing, brilliant, and we wish you all the luck as well for doing it, and make sure you let us know how you get on with your results.
Yeah,
absolutely, I will do. Thank you very much. I was doing an interview with another student who was kind of talking about the experiences of our fourth year. So I mean, being able to speak to the both of you